remembered, some forgot. That's good. So we're here, episode number 510 here at Tropical Nomad. Speak Up Monday. Tonight we have it's taken 4 or 5 years to get this one going, mate. Will Travis, Elevation Barn, an epic fellow. We're going to find out more about him very, very soon. So let's start with a bit of a tweet. A bit of a share about Will. So Will Travis is a globally recognized personal and business brand builder. Formerly CEO of Dentsu, ATTIK, and Sid Lee, in fact, in New York. He founded Elevation Barn to help leaders align success with what truly matters. Now active across 48 countries, Elevation Barn's retreats, consulting, and global network help leaders clarify direction, decisions, and legacy. The bit which I like the most, being an Englishman, from Burnley to Bali. I'm not sure if you guys know where Burnley is, but it's not Bali, right? So from Burnley to Bali, his journey bridges east and west, and a hell of a lot more than that. Insight and impact, success and meaning. Now, in a world obsessed with speed, scale, and surface success, this episode asks a deeper question. What does it really mean to build a life, business, and legacy aligned with what you truly matters? 3 quick takeaways. A clarity compass for what truly matters. Alignment as a strategic advantage. A framework for the next chapter. My name, if you don't know, is Robert Ian Bonnick, founder of Speak Up Monday, founder PT Carrier Life Group, Gateway to Indonesia for Business, co-founder of Bali Tourism and Investment Chamber, BTIC, the first foreign investor chamber in Bali for foreign investors. Just started, so if you want to know more, really have a chat to me later on. It's very important for us. Board of Management, Sky Blue Sea Foundation, which is Bali Ocean Days, which is coming up again, one of the most important prominent events annual for that which concerns conservation and ocean use in Indonesia. We've been recognized by Forbes Business Council, by the Ministry of Tourism and Creative Economy of Indonesia, awarded #1 changemaker in Bali, top 10 motivational speaker in South Asia. There you go. Round of applause. Why not? Why not?
Awesome.
All right, so now that's all done with, Will, so let's go, because when I say Burnley, I think about 95% of the audience have no clue what that is, where it is, and what it's like. So maybe a place to start tonight would be, give us a bit of a look through the window into what life was like in Burnley, explain where it is, and explain what in Burnley do you think sowed the seeds to what you've become now? 3-part question, easy.
Well, first of all, I'd just like to thank everyone for turning up tonight. I'm very moved and flattered that you've come to listen. I'll keep the accent a bit clearer so you understand what I say for the next hour and a half, so it doesn't sound like an episode of Game of Thrones. Burnley, as it's actually known. I grew up there 56 years ago, and I was born into turmoil. My father had terminal cancer when I was being born, and 6 months later he passed, leaving his wife and my 3 older sisters and a 6-month-old. And he was a legacy hero to me, romantic hero. He was actually the real Willy Wonka, William Short. Our family created licorice all sorts, gummy bear, sherbet dip, spaceship, sherbet bombs, all these different amazing things that probably rotted half the teeth in England. But he passed away when I was very young.
My kids still not going to thank you, mate. The parents have got a problem. Now I know who you really are. I'm coming for you. I'm coming for you, Travis.
So that was my upbringing, was in a household, very female-based household. And it shaped my childhood. So I actually grew up in a very small town, and I never got a chance to speak until I was about 11, because I had these 3 older sisters, a very strong mother, 2 very strong grandmothers, and getting a gap in edgeways was none. Even at Sunday roasts, I would sort of suggest how good the chicken was, and Mum would stop the dining table to have my comments. And then the girls would roll their eyes and then continue again after they realized I shouldn't be speaking. So I actually spent a lot of time observing feminine energy. And at the age of 11, my mum found out she had cancer. And they thought it was a better thing that I went to boarding school. I didn't know Mum was dying at that point. But I left to go to an all-boys boarding school. Mum said, you need to understand what a boy is. And I had to change out of my outfit. Now it would fit perfectly in. But I stopped playing with dolls. I stopped being with this very feminine energy and went into a rugby school in the north of England. And that taught me a different way of learning. At the age of 13, I realized or discovered through failure, not through assessment, that I was dyslexic and had ADD. And I was failing all my exams. And at that point, I used to copy off the kids sitting next to me. All my childhood, I was sitting next to, luckily, a guy, Steve Turner, who became one of the world's top doctors. And he always had the right answers. So all through my childhood, I would sit next to these kids that had the right answers, and I thought life was smarter if I leveraged the insights and the knowledge of the people that knew, until I got caught cheating. And at that point, I was slammed down. I was called Thicky Ricky, stupid, squarehead, every insult a kid could have. Mum was suffering from lymphatic cancer at that point, so I couldn't turn to my family with the challenges I was going through. And for a year and a half, I became extremely bullied, even though I was quite a big lad back then. And one child at the school, there was one American kid, Gawain Mainwaring, who's sadly no longer with us. And Gawain took me under his wing. And he taught me the power of persona and creating a cloak of being somebody you're truly not. And I embraced this confidence, this ability to be kind of loud, witty, sharp. I could take the piss, as we call it in England, but I could take the legs away from any Oxford, Cambridge brilliant thinker that was at the boarding school I was at, with humor and sarcasm. And it became a defense mechanism where I could be humorous and deploy different ways of energy in groups, but also understand the power of second level persona, which is mastered in the acting world or the music world, etc., but not normally in life. And by the time I'd finished my school, Mum had passed when I was 18, sadly. But at that point, I came back into my results, and I'd failed every single exam. And so I was left without parents, and I was left without a position of understanding where I could go in life. And I had to pivot. I had to learn how to change my direction when a wall was facing me, and many of us face them all the time. I didn't realize how many people face walls in life, and I had to learn how to get around or under or around the wall in a different approach to life than the traditional system.
You know, we're going to get back to that, but just as you brought that up, and I could tell that that you were feeling into that. Maybe you haven't spoken about this for a long time. I can see your face changing. Everest. To Everest, because I watched a video of Will. Did you know that he climbed Mount Everest?
It wasn't Everest. It was Vincent Massif in Antarctica.
Antarctica. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks for the correction.
Not yet for Everest.
It's coming. But there was a point in there where you second guessed yourself. Like, why am I doing this? People had turned back. The weather wasn't clement. It wasn't going well. And just what you said then about facing all those different challenges and struggles that you had, for some reason that Everest, Antarctica came into my head. So how did you deploy the solution there? Because to me, it sounds like the same thing we're talking about.
Yeah, I was actually in the worst. It was the worst weather in mountaineering history in at Vincent Massif. Antarctica is the largest, coldest, driest continent in the world, and I was there. It was minus 40 at that temperature. My fingernails had fallen out. My hair had fallen out. Obviously, it hasn't come back yet. But and you exhibit and understand extremity that you would never think exists. Like, even while I was walking, I was getting sunburn inside my mouth and inside my nose from the reflection of the ice. And I was there with a brilliant man called Jamie Clark, who's the first Canadian to climb the 7 summits, and we'd actually both climbed the highest mountain in Europe, in Russia, Mount Elbrus, many years before, and we'd both broken our backs, pushed our discs out from yoga. And at that point he said, we need another challenge. And I'm like, dude, I can't walk. And the challenge was to climb the highest peak in the coldest continent, and conquer a new level of comfort zone for ourselves. And by having a goal like that, where you have to be peak fitness to be able to not die, gave me a real challenge. So I was in Antarctica, and I was there with an amazing lady, Kit Delorier. She's the first human to ski the 7 summits. So Kit was one of the teams there, and the weather turned. A front came in, and it went down towards minus 50. And I was on the side of a face at 13,000 feet, and my goggles froze over on the inside from the precipitation. We were already wearing 3 layers, and I had my ice axe and my crampons, and I was there in my minus 40 suit, and I realized at that point that I could, not being able to see, I needed to really assess the situation. And I took my goggles off, and then I took my outer mitt off, then I took my glove off, then I took my inner glove off, and I scraped the ice from the inside of my goggles. And as I was doing it, I was like, okay, the ice is coming off, it's good. It was really on the balls of my fingers because my nails had come out, and I was trying to get the ice clear, and then I realized that my hand had frozen in a claw, and now I can't get my gloves back on. So I'm like, fuck, I'm going to lose my hand. I can't see. Yeah. And Jamie didn't know where I was, and I thought, if any moment now, this is it, because the terminal velocity would kill me falling off that face. And as I was going into that panic, a hand just came on my shoulder, and Jamie took his goggles off and put them on my face. He took my hand and put it under his armpit. Normally wouldn't let somebody do that. And I waited, and then I came and I chatted with him after, and I said to him, I said, Jamie, man, you saved my life. And he said, no, I was just meant to be there. And it opened up a different philosophy on life for me, that the people that you get together, the people that are here, sometimes you're just meant to be here. And by being aware and connected, you can change it. It also took me back to boarding school, and when I got my exam results and I saw that I'd failed all 4, and a beautiful man came into my life when I was 4 years old, John, and I used to be called William Anderson Short. That was my last name, and I became William Anderson Travis through my stepfather, who took on me and 3 older girls and a bereaving widow, and he was a headmaster, and I had to get in the car with him to tell him how I'd done with my exam results. And he asked me, he said, how did you do? And I said, I've let you down. It's the only words I could think. I've let you down. And his wife had just passed 3 months before, so the guy was already on his knees, and now he's suddenly got me to deal with. And he sat there quietly, and he said, you know what? You face a challenge now in life, and you're going to face challenges for the rest of your life. He said, the reality is we all do. We all face challenges all the time. He said, it's simple what we got to do. He said, we got to back away from the wall that you face. There's always a way over, around, or under. But you got to be with the right people to get round. He said, you told me a story when you were a little younger about climbing over the wall that was around your boarding school to go and have your first pint and your first kiss. He said that wall was not a challenge then. That wall was part of the journey. And if you can embrace walls as part of the journey, they become hurdles. Yeah. And when I was on that face, I realized that Jamie had backed me away from the wall. Yeah. He'd allowed me to see there was a way around, over, or under it. And so it changed my whole life and my perspective of understanding. And so I've failed so many times, and I've been in so many situations of don't get back up, that I thought this work should be shared.
You know, one of the things that comes across, by the way, I've seen Will around for, I don't know, 5, 6, 7 years, but this is the first time that we sat down and chatted, which is not unusual. Like, of the 500 guests, most of them I didn't know really well, and I prefer that, because then the questions that come up, I'm getting to know them at the same time as you are, which I think is more engaging, right, as opposed to list of prepared questions, right?
I think what's attracted the people to me is, one, I'm very bad. And my wife, Jana, and my work wife, Emma, will contest to that. I'm very bad at asking for help. I've had to have a life, and the list of shit that's gone on goes on forever. I've had to have a life that I have to lead and carry myself, and I'm naturally a carrier for other people. Which is exhausting, to be honest. And I still am trying to learn that muscle of an inward journey. I've done many expeditions with riding with the Dakar and doing these mountains and all that. Now I'm on an inward journey of exploration, and it's terrifying. It's so much easier just, right, I'm going to go diving with great white sharks, or dive with Dave and we'll go and do this, or jump off a building. I've done all that shit. But going inwards, poof, and there's some amazing practitioners, and hats off to you who are here. I've just been lucky that it's like when you fall through the ice. I spent many years in Montreal, and you go on the ice there, and if you go through, you don't tuck your arms and your legs in. You spread out, and you try and spread out on the ice. And for some joy, when I've fallen through the ice, I've spread out, and people have just given me a hand. That's
a brilliant analogy, man. That's a brilliant analogy. Again, so many things come into that, not just one thing. Whoa. And I mean, okay, so there you are, a kid from Burnley, north of England, going through. I was a kid, grew up in children's homes in London for 18 years, thought I was a white kid, because I was the only black kid at the white school for the first 13 years. And then lots of things happened, and racism was huge for me. It was a defining moment that created the rest of my life, right? And later on, I found in my family tree people like Martin Luther King, Malcolm X, Marcus Garvey. Another story for another day. But defining moments, right, are the ones that when they're wanted or when they're not wanted, they kind of come in. So if I ask you then, because the moments that you've spoken about already were moments where, in a way, you needed the help, right? So have there been any moments where you really pushed the help away? And if so, what happened?
I went through I was on this testosterone career. I'd applied to every ad agency. I wanted to go into branding and advertising. I found my sort of North Star when I was at university, and I loved the creativity in the ad world. But with that came a lot of ego. And I met two guys that really believed that there was no ceiling, that you could go and get what you wanted. My first thing I really wanted in life out at a university was a cell phone. Fuck, if I could get a cell phone, how cool would that? And then I got the cell phone, and then I'm like, wow, I would love a company car. And they found me this little Nova that had a dent on the body from hitting somebody, and they bought it for me, and it smelled of cabbages, but it was a car. And I had this ambition, and I applied to all these agencies, and I was rejected by all of them. They gave me a chance. But with it, I created a platform with my partners called Noise, which was, how do you not present yourself by the portfolio of what you've done, but how do you present yourself about your potential? And this book called Noise, we've published 7 of them, became a blueprint for progressive thinking in the design world. And I ended up working with Philip Stark and Jay Mays at Ford, and Mark Newsom, who was at Apple later, but all these amazing luminary thinkers in my late 20s. And I went to San Francisco in my late 20s, early 30s on the wave of the dot-com boom and the IT boom. And it was $1 million for me to come to your office to do a branding. And I had stretch limos outside every Friday for the team. We'd go crazy in San Francisco. It was incredible. And then the IT crash happened. And then the dot-com crash happened. And I went from paying $5,000 to anybody that could find me a warm body to work in our company to that collapsing. And we were in such a desperate situation. My office, I had 280 of the world's best designers, creative thinkers in 5 studios around the world. And within 2 months, I was down to 16 people. I had to close all of the offices. I had 2 left. And I pitched for a piece of work from Toyota. And I was supposed to go to New York. I was going to New York to go on a boat to try and find business. There was a boat called the Marketing Forum. And I was flying there. My friend Alwyn was running this Marketing Forum boat in Richmond Events in New York. And the boat was coming in on the 12th of September. And I had a studio on Wall Street and Broadway in Lower Manhattan because I was living in San Francisco then. And the night before, I found that my guy who was running my New York office, that was already on its knees, had fudged the books, and we were $1 million in debt. And I said to him, we've got a board meeting tomorrow. We should meet half an hour earlier. And the next morning, I dropped my dry cleaning under.
We call that a Canggu moment, in case you knew the Canggu.
I dropped my dry cleaning under Tower 1 of the Twin Towers, which is 1 block. And as I walked away from it, a plane hit it. And I went into the board meeting on Spring and Broadway and said, someone's hit the Twin Towers. And we had this chat, and then another plane hit the towers, and my head of strategy, who was in the apartment, rang me and he says, "Well, I've just been knocked to the floor. What do I do?" I said, "Get out quick. You got to get up here. Something's happened. There's something, we didn't know what it was. It looked like a light aircraft at first." And I just missed by this guy fiddling the books, or I'd made the meeting half an hour earlier. If I hadn't, I would have been standing under it outside the dry cleaners. It's like, fuck. At the same time, a few months before that, my ego was so big that I'd fluffed up my marriage. And my partner then left me with the 2 children. I was in San Francisco and she left and went to England, took the kids. I was riding across Alaska for a charity and I came back. She said, "Yeah, give me a call when you're back. We need to talk about something." And she left. And as I'm standing on the roof, I realized all the people around me to help me that I needed to ask for help were people on my payroll or people that wanted to work with me. And the only person I could think of that I needed to talk to at that moment was the wife I'd just fucked over. And I realized at that junction, I'm like, this hero's journey for leaders is such a false, awful, lonely, pressurized world. And I swore I've got to be part of a collective of people that think as a kindred quest. How can we help each other? How can we support each other? How can I put an arm around you when things are shit? Not when I can get your money. Yeah. And it was a pivot point where your question kind of reversed. I didn't have anybody to turn down to help me other than those I'd paid. And I had to recalibrate. I had to go through it again.
You know, it's such an interesting journey that you've had. Now, in about 3 minutes, 5 minutes, we're going to go to questions, right? I have many more, but I know that you have too, and you've made the effort to be here, so I want to ensure that you get value, right? So just question etiquette, right? It is fine to say your name now. Hi, my name is blah, 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 blah from X company, but then if you can get to your question, that will be great, so we can get more value. So no monologues, please. Otherwise, we're going to be here for probably 2 nights. Now, with you, Will, I'm going to give you a bit of a challenge. If you can answer the question within 2 minutes. Oh, let's see if we can do that. Now, he's smiling because he knows the answer already, and that's one of your best mates. But before we get there, now you preempted me somehow as black and white. By the way, we didn't call each other or anything tonight. Like it's just,
the backstory here is I got this picture from him, and I was actually darker in the photo. I'm like, dude, can I look whiter? Because we look like a pair of knob end things. So then we did it. We said we need to be the black and white show. Now I turn up, I'm wearing white and black, and he's wearing black. I'm like, all right, now this is pushing it.
Sometimes things are beyond your control, but they're helping you, right? Yeah. Oftentimes. So look, the last question for me at this point is, you mentioned about family, right? We're both fathers of kids, and so I met your wife again. Hello again, Xian. Thank you for being here. Thank you. So probably one of the biggest things that people struggle with, is, well, how is it? And you mentioned before, there's this life that we're supposed to have to be successful, but it doesn't quite integrate well necessarily with a truly whole, fulfilled life of both private, business, health, wealth, happiness, spirituality, and everything kind of revolving and becoming one whole. H with a W, right? WH. So going through that experience and all of the different, I call them quests, that you've been on over the years, and all of those that have been through your doors at Elevation Barn, which we're going to get to in a minute. How do you approach it now? How do you approach creating this whole life, which with all these different aspects and elements to them?
I mean, first of all, you think as you get older, things get easier. Fuck, I wish it was. It's just the baggage and the concerns. You're now not concerned just about you, you're concerned about your kids. We've got 4 kids, and there's 30, 27, 25, and a 14-year-old here. And you also think that every parent has this scar in their heart of a moment where they're like, fuck, have I been a good mum or dad and something's gone wrong? And we're blessed with a second chance, because on with Jean and my partner of 22 years, we had Bella 14 years ago, and you're like, I've got a fresh chance. I'm going to be the best dad in the world. I carried her in Bali. We moved here 14 years ago, and I carried her everywhere, and I was the best dad, and da-da-da-da-da. But everybody has their own journey. And it does not matter how you think you can influence it. You can't change a leopard's spots. You can influence the journey, but everybody has their own journey, including your kids. Yeah. And what I've really learned is, and the Elevation Barn is of service to me as much. It's a hard reminder. The hard bit, luckily Jeanne is a healer and she understands spirituality far deeper than I do. But for me, it's a whole different journey. And I ask people when they're doing the barn, I think about, you've got to think that the lesson I learned when everything went south in my mid-30s, you have to look at life holistically. And I went to see a healer who helped change my perspective, Tunjung, she's called in Ubud. And I said to her, is there any commonality of why people come and see you? She said there's 8 reasons. Mental health, spiritual health, physical health, finance, career, relationships, home base, and purpose. When people come and see me, it's for one of those 8 reasons. Something is like a squeaky wheel on a trolley, and it may be the physical relationship is screwing up your work, it may be your work screwing up your personal. You have to think of life holistically, all 8 dimensions. Because I focused on 2 of them, which was finance and career, and the rest went to pot. So when people come and do a retreat with me, I don't care what their job is, because I will never be as good as them as a doctor, a bull rider, a ballet dancer, a stay-at-home dad, whatever it is. I will never be as good as them. So I ask you to leave your job at the door. And that usually leaves the arsehole outside. Because it's the job that creates the ego of pretending to be something you think impresses others and also impresses yourself. Not what brings joy to little boy or girl on the inside, and people lose focus on that.
You know, just before I go to questions, so because people asked before, you know, and I think you've got an idea, right? So part of what this show is about is three things: people inspire people, unity and diversity. Oh, there's more over here. Oh, hello. Entrepreneurship and social impact, right? And each episode kind of delves into that. And one of the beautiful things that I've noticed as well is that someone's background usually creates the system, circumstances, opportunities for them to lead the life they are now, and empowers them with the gifts. Like me growing up with racism and violence, blah, 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 I learned about everyone. So now I can connect to anyone, no matter who they are, what they are, it doesn't, to me, I see them as one, regardless of color, race, background, ideology. I learned that because I grew up like that in so many situations that people thought, sheesh, right? But for me, I didn't know anything else except what I knew at that time, which was learning the lessons, right? So I can see from your background, you know, all of the things that the barn stands for were your upbringing, actually. That's what I see. So to put a cherry on top, maybe spend a minute or so just explaining what Elevation Barn is, and then we'll go to questions. Yeah.
So everything I did in my career was about story. As a brand builder, working with Nike and Apple and Netflix and all that lot, if I can tell a magnetic, uplifting story that's authentic to the true brand, it gives wings. And humans have been distracted. We're in a very sad environment at the moment, incredible opportunity environment at the moment, but we've been in a very sad environment of likes being more important than love. How much do I get? How many likes do I get here? How many people like me? Am I liked enough? Do I like enough people? And what it does is it creates a false economy, because you're never liked as much as somebody you're comparing yourself to. And me as a kid, I really craved feeling I was equal. I was good enough. And I was going to, luckily I got to the top of my field in advertising. I was asked, when I was here in Bali, I was asked to be the CEO of Saatchi & Saatchi. And I was like, boy, it doesn't get bigger. You know, English brand, global, 148 offices, thick kid from England that applied to them, never got in, and now I've got this comeback story. And I sat with Jana, and Bella was 2. I said, it just doesn't feel right. There's something missing, and I wanted a toolbox of progressing story and impact, and I went and did Sid Lee and C2, a conference, and it was one night like this. Actually, the honesty, I was drunk in a bar, and I was talking to a friend about 4-5 friends that were in transition, all super achieved in different levels, but totally derailing themselves. And I was like, why don't these friends just realize how awesome they are? I'm enamored by them. I'm so inspired. I said to him, I'd love to create a weekend to help them. And he said, you should do that. I said, nah, they wouldn't do it with me. I'm not good enough. I'm not a coach. I'm not that's not me. I'm ADD. I want to get to the results quick. He went to the bathroom, and in that time, I don't know what he was doing in there, but in that time I sent a message to these 5 friends. I'm going to host a weekend. It's called Sort Your Shit Out. Yeah. The Burnley came out there, and I want to help you. Yeah. And I woke up the next morning to these emails saying I'm in, and I'm like, in what? And I read down and I saw this email saying, and I'm like, damn. Oh, and I have this philosophy: commit, then work it out. Oh. Because if you work it out and then commit, you'll never get there. So Antarctica, I paid my savings, 25 grand to fly in on the Lucian, blah, blah, blah. It was all I had. I committed. Then, fuck, I've got to work it out. I've got to get it. I've got to train. I've got to do all this.
Just to raise the hands, just an honesty check. Honesty check. Who here believes the same thing? commit, then work it out. All right, keep your hands up if you actually do it. Okay, lots of good people here. Great.
Yeah, very good. So I hosted this weekend, and within an hour of the process, go find the object that represents where you're at, I said. And they all ran off. They came back. Oh, I'm like, go on, tell me the story. Well, I feel like a glass of water. I've got this stuff floating in it, but the glass isn't half full. But I know I can access joy, but I don't know what to do. I don't know how to fill it up, and I'm feeling like I can't really see. It's cloudy. Yeah. I'm not sure where to go. Yeah. Okay, got it. I know where you're at now. Go find the object that represents where you want to be. Well, I feel like I want to be of purpose. Yeah. I want to be something that everybody can lean on. It can guide them. I want to be clear. I don't want to be cloudy anymore. And I just want to feel that I'm good enough. I'm awesome, and I'm there of purpose for other people. And everybody goes around and does their first objects. In branding, if I know where your foundations are, who are you as a brand? Don't bullshit me. Who are you? And I did this for Red Bull, I did this for Coca-Cola, I did it for all of them, right? Who are you truly? Because don't lie, your consumer will bust you. If you say you can fly and you can't, you're out. And if you know where you want to go, all we need to do now for the next few days is work out how to get there. Yeah. If you know where you want to go, Stephen Bartlett, we were on stage with him recently, and he said, if you do not know your North Star, where do you want to go? What direction do you want to go in? You will meander and fail and do all these different things because you don't have focus. Doesn't matter. You must fail at different things to knock onto course. Yeah. But you've got to understand it. And so I saw people, just from those first questions, I saw them grow. I felt like the age dropped off them. My best friend, he started crying. He said, fuck, I thought it was just me. I thought it was just me that didn't know what I should be doing. Because you guys are all so awesome. And we kept on peeling the onion, and by the end, and within that hour, I realized, fuck,
I'm onto something here.
I need, no, there was no business. Yeah. I need these guys to help me. I thought I was helping them. Ooh. And so by the end of the retreat, they said, what do you want to do? I said, you know what? I want to elevate people. And in the branding world, I've elevated brands, but I want to help people get clarity, scrape the ice off that windshield so they can see where they're going, even if it's just for the 4 days, so they've seen it and they can't unsee it. I want to elevate them. And they said, we'll call it elevation. I said, well, no, it's not. I'll call it Will Travis. No, it's not about me. Yeah. It's not. It's the barn raising philosophy the Amish used to build a barn. I'll do the wood, you do the sandwiches, I'm doing the nails. And together we create stability. The barn is where you hold the seeds for the next season. It's the crop. It's the place you have your first kiss behind without feeling intimidated or not good enough. It's just a place of acceptance and inclusion. And so I said I want to elevate people through a barn raising process. And John Hardy, who's a friend here in Bali, had been plugging at me while I lived here for the first 2 years, saying, stop selling sugar to welfare mothers. Enough Coca-Cola, enough all that. Do something of purpose. And so I didn't know what to do, and the phone rang, and somebody said, I need space. I need help, and I need it from the wisdom. And we've tried to make it purely inclusive. We've had kids 20s to gentlemen retirees in their 70s. It's half male, half female, because every retreat I did, I was told I shouldn't do it for women at the beginning by this lady.
Now we're going to, in a minute, because I realized, I'm not sure if you got that right. I said a minute and a half.
Oh, was that in my time zone?
It's been like,
I thought it was for them.
It's been like 10 minutes.
All right, sorry.
But brilliant. Now I know you will. By the way, when I said onto it, what I meant to say is that you're onto it, meaning not the business, but you now realize what it is you're going to be doing. That's what I actually meant. But look, okay, so what we're going to do. Now you really are a storyteller. It's
because of having no chance when I was little.
It's true.
I am taking this home to bed.
It's going to be 3 hours, guys. So we got, remember, Tropical Nomad has food and drinks for the next 24 hours. So question. So just a quick reminder. okay to plug yourself, plug your business, but please straight to your question. And then for Will, I might pop up a timer here.
No, that's no problem. I didn't realise I was on the 2 minute bit. You said one more question. Sorry, apologise.
I take that one on the chin. All right, so Guzman, we got the microphone, yeah? All right, so Ryan's the first one here, or these two here, yeah. Cool. By the way, the mics, don't switch them on or off, just leave them on. It's fine. Great. Thank you very much, everybody.
All right. So I guess I can say my name now, right?
You can say your name, your business.
All right. So my name is Ryan Fix. My last name is a curse. I love to fix things, which has led me into an incredible life where I love to connect people and help them transform their visions into reality. And a lot of people over the years have introduced me to a lot of incredible people, and that's how I know people. So as a connector, I know people because people introduce me. I don't go out to meet people. And a lot of people have told me that I should meet you. So that's really the other reason why I'm here. So nice to connect. You had mentioned in your story in New York that you had hit a moment where what I connected with was there was a convergence of like pride and ego and hitting a wall. But as I hear you tell stories, I can feel how much care and passion and love is inside of you. So what in that moment allowed you to move beyond when you hit that, let's say, wall?
I spent my whole career working with introverts, designers, creatives that were brilliant at telling story and stuff like that. And when we used to go and pitch work, if Am I back? There you go. I used to joke that we live in the rejection industry. And so we would be turned down every day. Oh, love your work. So-and-so's got a better proposal. Not good enough, not cheap enough, not da-da-da-da. And I'd have to go back to these introverts and say, guys, your work was spectacular, but they're not ready. And we're going to keep going. And we're going to try stuff, and we're going to risk stuff, and we're going to do things that we shouldn't be doing. And that just gave me the confidence to get back up. And once you get used to getting back up, especially when you don't have a choice, I had nowhere else to go. I'd lived in America. I moved to America when I was 24. I had a portfolio and a suitcase. And I knocked on the door of MTV and then another 100 businesses before getting my first bit of work. And if I didn't get the bread, these guys suffered. I had to go back to England. I left England because I was stupid Will there. In America, I was Speedo Will that had an awesome accent. Fuck yeah. I want to be in the pond where I'm different, not back there where I'm bullied. And so there was a big counter challenge that if I didn't get back up, and that's what I've just tried to do and sometimes it's hard getting back up, especially the older we get. You know, Jana can't face more meltdowns than any other partner. But you got to realize you can get back up, and you just got to realize that there's other people there and you're not alone. Did that answer your question?
Yeah, man.
Thank you.
It was good. All right, let's see if that one is back on.
Yep.
Hello, Will. My name is T-Bird, and it sounds like, listening into your stories, that there's these special moments where crisis becomes this evolutionary driver. And I don't often meet people who were also at the World Trade Tower that day. I was at Bowling Green, and that day also shifted the direction of my life. And so kind of starting from that moment of, wow, I'm not really here to do what I thought I was here to do. I'm here to do what's emerging from me and waking up to what I'm actually supposed to do. You talk about challenge. You talked about backing away from that wall, surrounding yourself with people who want to help, and learning how to, even better if, like asking for help. So I'm curious, you're talking about, I want to elevate people. I want to elevate them. Well, being around a bunch of capable, educated, wise, authority people, Where do you see us going next with what's our story? What's our new story? It's not the same story as when it got kick-started in some way back at 9/11, kind of built momentum from there. But what's our new story with everything that's going on in the world? Particularly, yes, we're here in Bali, but how does our story in Bali also affect the world around us? And how are we connected to that world? And how do we bring this whole new narrative story that allows us to see ourselves in it, not just because, oh, here's my business, or what are my ROI, or how many stages do I get to be on, but actually a new love story, an evolutionary love story that helps us actually get to the next evolutionary leap in where we're going. What's that story? What's your vision? And what is the missing piece that maybe you find in yourself that you need, or the people that you help? What is that piece? What's that even better if for us?
Thank you, Sister T-Bird.
We are at a incredible tipping point time in society, I feel, at the moment. This is the first time humans have felt inferior to the pace of technology. Sure, cars can go faster than humans, but holistically we are at this point. And I sort of visualize it. I just did a talk at a wellbeing event in Bangkok, and I took the analogy of the butterfly, and we're in this pupa phase. And I say it to people when they come and do the retreat. I'm like, you're not going to leave here relaxed and chilled and better for my... You're going to leave here coiled. Because what we're going to do is we're going to take this backpack of expectancy off you. All these courses, all these things that you think you keep needing to do to become qualified, good enough, accepted, whatever. Because I truly believe that we have what is needed for humanity in who we are. We just need to take the backpack off to stop smothering our wings. And the older you get, the more experiences you do, the heavier this backpack of expectancy gets. So for me, I think we're at this incredible junction where connection, relationships, human experience is going to become more important than ever. And AI is an incredible tool in every dimension, but the importance of recalibrating. Remember, technology and communication systems were invented by the introverted geeks. The people that didn't want to sit face to face created the chat systems. When I launched MSN, I spent time with Messenger working with the people, and they did not want to connect physically. And we've followed a wave of giving new breadth of opportunity to people that actually now I think we're getting our opportunity back to really celebrate the human power of connection, of doing this. You could have all come online and yet only lived 15 minutes away. But to actually celebrate the energy we've got and where we can go, I think is just spectacular. And with the planet and what we're doing. You know, I just spent the weekend diving, so I could connect to what's under the water as well, 2/3 of the planet. So I think what people need to do is realize they have what they need. They need to celebrate themselves. They need to reassess, what is my story and how do I live a happy, joyous life?
Beautiful.
And let destiny approach itself. That's my heartfelt thought.
Beautiful question, beautiful answer. Thank you. Sister Sari.
Hi, Will.
Hi.
My name is Nilo Sari. I'm from Canggu. I'm from Malaikat Hukum International Firm. I'm a Canggu girl. You are famous worldwide, but I think we have similarity here. I'm so inspired by your story. I used to also live in the UK for 15 years in Newcastle upon Tyne. So, you know, I understand the northern hospitality. I just telling my boyfriend, like, you know, in the north, I still learned so many, you know, northern values. And also I was in the States and now back in Bali. So there is similarity that what you say is being a leader is like a lonely journey. And you are tested, life is so much a challenge. Now, I'm also mother of 4 kids. So I see my little children, they are all under 10. Which one here is a leader? For me, my question to you is everyone is leader? Because as a Balinese, you mentioned about spirituality before. So for us, Balinese or Asian, we check our horoscope, you know. I'm a dragon, I'm number 1 in Reformer, I'm Aries, I'm a Ra, I'm a, you know, those stack up. So sometimes when life challenges come to me, my thing is like, I'm a dragon, I'm meant for this, I'm made for this. I'm an Aries, you know, all those like value, the archetype that's like put me comfort, you know. I've been to so many situations. Now, is everyone is leader? Because I see my 4 kids, and one of them is a rat, one of them is a pig, one of them like, you know, different horoscope, and they're just kids. And then if you can share parental tips. And also, I'm starting to feel like I need to learn about leadership here. And I learn about, you know, John Maxwell, for example, and also, you know, the Shaolin, like, you know, I quite like that. And also something Hills. Now, my question is, who's your top 3 favorites leadership? Because I found it very much American. I cannot find UK one, so if you can give me a few so I could learn from that. But please, Stephen Bartlett, we know Stephen Bartlett, you know, he's other speakers that you can.
My sister, sorry, let me give her. So the question is, who are your 3? Just go straight to the question again.
Your 3 motivational leaders that you learn from, you inspire from.
Great.
And the other thing is everyone is a leader, because not everyone leader can be like, you know, but everyone is important in this whole of change. That's my question.
So that's a great question about leadership. And one thing that I highlight and do through a very simple process at the retreat is clarifying that there are 4 main zones in business. There's leaders, there's people, there's operational structural people, and there's creatives. All are absolutely critical. If you're running a business and you have all leaders, it's just going to be a shit show. Everyone's banging heads. If everyone's just a people person, everyone's just hugging and wanting to have time together, or creatives as a squiggle, you're ADD, dyslexic, coming up with ideas all over the place, or squares, you're just over-analyzing and structuring. You have to have all 4 dimensions, and you have to realize that each is equally as brilliant. I am not naturally a good leader. I'm a spectacular number 2. I'm naturally a creative thinker. I have ideas all the time, but I've had to lead because I didn't have a choice. And so leadership has actually become a superpower and a cloak, not what fuels me. The introverted, quiet, exploring, creative that everyone told me I should not be and I was not is who I truly am. And most people fill themselves up fueling a persona that's not them. So the first thing to realize is to realize what is your true shape, your true character, and then how do you leverage your superpower as a tool, not as your life. That makes sense? Okay. Inspirational people. You got to be careful with that. My inspirational role model was my father that passed away when I was 6 months. My mother's lover, my sisters, the father that changed the world, the industry, the creative Willy Wonka inventor and all that lot. What happened was I followed somebody I did not know. He could have been a mean father. He could have not been that creative. He may not have been a good lover, whatever. But I followed a romantic role model, which means I will never be good enough as that romantic role model. Does that make sense? So if you follow somebody or something, all these people that write books, when I started out in the creative industry, I remember retouching, it was a Black Book magazine in New York, and I retouched the front cover with Madonna on it. And it took us 2 weeks to retouch her face. 2 weeks to perfect it so people would fall in love and think she was perfect. That is exactly what happens with all these books that you read. Perfected stories that are not normally humanly possible. They've been perfected to a reach. So my answer is, first of all, find role models that are human and you know, and you can follow and understand and get inspired by. Dr. Sylvia Earle is here in 2 weeks. Her deepness, I'm on her board. I've worked with her for 4 years.
I worked with her in Abu Dhabi recently.
Amazing
lady,
most incredible woman. Incredible, can hold her breath like a fish. I work with people like that inspire me and connect, and I make an effort to do it. And I see the beauty in the different people and all these incredible folk around me, and that keeps me achievable to what success is, not romanticism where I'll feel I'm not good enough, I'll get lonely, I become meaner, everybody around me is an idiot compared to that luminary thinker and doer. You have to have a bit of inspiration, but you have to have reality.
Great question, great answer. Is the microphone still with you, my darling, or is it somewhere else?
No, it's with me.
Carol, where are you?
Yeah, I'm just behind.
Okay, thank you. I can see you. Yeah. Great question. Sorry, thank you.
First of all, as a storyteller and as a poet, I want to thank you for giving me a wonderful story-gasm tonight.
I'm not going to say anything.
Wise move, Travis. Wise move.
As a story healer, though, I work with a lot of young men who struggle to merge love and business. And I loved what you said about your wife and your ex-wife. What I'd love to know is, what are you most grateful for from your ex-wife and your current wife in your life as an entrepreneur?
That's a great question.
Thanks, Carol.
Belief. I think belief that both of them believed in me enough to be a father, believed in me enough from a business, and Sean is actually a partner in the Elevation Barn out of Europe. I think that belief goes so far, because it's not Will who sits here, it's the little boy who's 8. And so many people man up or woman up or strong or create a facade that doesn't fuel that little child. And if you leave that child, you become like one of those Russian dolls where the child inside is so small. And so for me, I am oversensitive, and I regret a lot. I feel a lot of guilt. I feel, even the people that have done the Elevation Barn, absolutely beautiful, incredible, so talented people, and I feel I've let them down because I haven't created a big enough stage for them to succeed as much as I want to, and that's something that Emma and I and the team are working on to propel, and Ange, she's here. But at the end of the day, when I go home, Jana believes in me, and she says, I know you're going through these peaks and troughs, just know that we're here. And I think you have to realize that. And if you don't have that, we all have a number of people that sit around our table, and we all have somebody that sits around our table that pulls the confidence away from us, that says you're not good enough and you shouldn't do that, and why are you, and don't do that, and don't post that. And you have to have the attitude and the confidence to say, I'm sorry, but you're going to have to get up from this table and leave the chair open for somebody that's going to believe in me and give me wings. And that's hard, but you've got to do it. If you were in a hot tub and somebody peed in it, you get out.
Yeah.
Many of us sit in a hot tub of piss with people in it, pissing on what we should be doing, and we sit there going, oh no, yeah, I'm like, get out the hot tub. I had to leave England because I was fed up with being told I was stupid and thick and I shouldn't and I'm not good enough. But I went to a place where people put wings on my back, and same with Bali. I'm in a melting pot of people that believe me. And it's really hard because every morning I wake up and I don't believe myself. But I know the work is elevating people step by step to be better and more authentic to who they are.
One of the things, before I go to your question, Tangelina, sister, is that it's an analogy, right, which is coming up now, so I may as well share it. And it's interchangeable, what I'm about to say. I just want to put it to you, yeah? It's the analogy of masculine and feminine. Interchangeable, because the masculine doesn't need to be the man and the feminine doesn't need to be the woman, right? So it's a plant and a pot. So the analogy goes that what's in the plant pot are the nutrients required for the plant to grow. So those nutrients are all the things that you could imagine which are in the soil. This represents the feminine. And then the masculine is, you're way ahead of me, is the plant. So when I look at our relationship, and again, it's interchangeable, right? And the people that I used to be with, coach or whatever it was, I found in the most powerful relationships that dynamic of one, but again, they can hold it for each other, but one, let's say, to make it easier, being that pot, being the soil, being the nutrients, and the other being the plant that grows from it. And literally the altitude and the strength of the plant is determined by the richness of the nutrients. So what comes up for you when I say that, Will? I'm just interested to hear you before we go to our sister Tangelina.
Yeah, when I think of that, I actually think the soil and the nutrients and the pot and the plant is the feminine. Yeah. And the man is the gardener that usually comes along and fucks it up. Yeah. Or at times can help. Yeah. But he meddles. Yeah. And I realised that with the retreats, when I only did it for men, the men were quite happy just doing their stuff. Yeah. When the women did it, the women all said, what did the men do? Did the men cry? Did the men go in the ice lake? Did they do this? Did they that? And I'm like, you have to have both, but you have to realize it is absolutely symbiotic. That I have feminine qualities. Like, I'm probably a bit more of the romantic, right, Jean? And her, even though she's, the most beautiful woman I've ever met, I'm more feminine with my romanticism, and she's more precise. Like, I actually think I'm the leader in the family, but she is. Yeah. But I'm the romantic and the creative, and she accepts that, and that's what it comes from. I think it's understanding there's that duality. Can I share a very short story? So there was a bullfighter. Anybody know what a bullfighter is? So in Montana and places like that, where men are men and stupid, a guy tries to get on a bull for 8 seconds and stay on. And after 8 seconds, he gets ding the bell, the bull gets scores and the guy gets scores, and he gets thrown off. You don't jump off, you get thrown off, right? A bullfighter is the guy, they often know him as the circus clown, that gets between the bull and the guy on the floor. And he came and did the retreat. He was an elite athlete. His wife was there. She was an artist, or is an artist. And they wanted to work out what's his next chapter. He was hammered. And I was there, and we had an amazing group. And there was one lady there who was a powerful CEO over 28 companies. And there was a bullfighter, and there was a ballet dancer, and there was a stay-at-home dad, and there was a lady who was a strategist and a crypto person, and blah, blah, blah. So there was super diversity, and I love that, because you want to sit next to people that you don't know what their world's like, and they see your world through a totally different lens. And I said to him, Raymond, remind me again, how many times do you face death a night? He says 20 times. I says, so you need to understand when you're in control or not of the situation, because if you're not, you're going to die. I said, how do you know you're in control of the situation? And I take this into life. I use this analogy all the time. He said there's 3 choices as a bullfighter. The guy gets thrown off. Choice 1, I get on the bull and I'll try and steer it. And I will get thrown off. If you're in a relationship where you're like, I am this in this relationship, or you do that, or you should do this, just wait. You will be thrown off, in either male or female. If you try and control your child, your partner, grip your business, you'll get thrown off. The second option he has is I run. I run away with the guy who's been thrown off. If you run, you will be hit, because you're now a target. You can say to your kid, have your friends sleeping over. You're 14, fine, let them in your room. But if you ignore that factor and go, you know what, it'll be okay, it will not. It will hit you when you know, because you are not connected. The bullfighter knows he's going to be okay because he leans in and he puts his hand between the horns, tries to, the hand between the head of the bull. And he dances with the bull. That's what they call it. He says, people call us bullfighters. We actually call ourselves dancers. Because when you're dancing with the situation you're in, you're connected to it, not just with your brain, and you're not using your mind to react, and you're not using your heart, which is the emotions, to react. You are having to react so quickly, you have to call on every element of your DNA from the thousands of millions of years of evolution. And we need to do that. When we have a situation, if we dance with it, we will get through the other side. If we ignore it, it will hit us. If we try and control it, it will throw us off. I can guarantee every relationship fail, every problem of your illness, everything that has gone through is because you haven't danced with it. And I had a marriage guidance lady come and do the retreat, and she goes, marriage is like a tennis match. And I said, that is where I think you're absolutely wrong. Because you are waiting for someone to win and someone to lose. But when you dance, you've got to be in harmony with the situation, and you will see it to the end until you both sit down and laugh, enjoy, and then get back up again. And I remind myself, I'm not the best husband, I'm not the best leader, I'm not the best whatever, but there's times I'm like, have I got my hand on the head of the bull? And am I dancing with it?
You know, brilliant analogy. And I mean, it's interesting because what just came up to me, Tangelina, we are coming to you. Before we started this, you know, and we had a pre-chat talking about, you know, the show, and I said the only thing which is my mission is for the person sitting to my left, or people for them to be themselves. And this is what you've done. So much respect, brother. Thank you. Tangelina.
Hi, Will.
Hello.
I actually had a question that was framed completely different from Carol's, and you answered my question by answering her question. But I thought of another question. First, I'll say that my husband and I have founded a company called Dharma Ninja Imports, and we are focused on bringing buyers and admirers of Balinese art and Balinese artists together, and we build community through regenerative initiatives. So that's a little bit about me. And something else that really thrills me is how important our inner child is. And I tend to I feel like my inner child is actually my guiding star, is like what actually ignites me and inspires me. And I've had a reverse experience from what you were saying, where like the heavy backpack was a lot heavier for me when I was younger, but I've had a very like Benjamin Button kind of life, so it makes sense that way. But I wanted to understand, in your, the theater of the work that you do, as you're taking people through this experience of elevating, how much does play and curiosity and imagination come into play with the work that you do? And would you be open to a conversation about that with me afterwards?
Yeah, absolutely. It does come. The thought of going to a retreat, I hate. And usually a lot of the retreats out there are either a man pretending to be a guru or women groups. To be honest, the majority of the retreat things out there. So for me, play and feeling awesome and feeling like, we have great food, we do it in a great location, we do exercises, we do drawings. I get people to draw what their future world would look like. It's really important that they feel that they can celebrate themselves. I pair them up, they share thoughts, they laugh, they cry, they even put on the persona of a superhero and tell a story through that. For me, as a creative thinker, I want to make sure that every single person at a retreat feels they're totally capable and loving the exercise they're doing. Not, I'm stupid, or I'm not good enough, or I'm going to be assessed. There's one exercise we do during the retreat that came from Tunjung, which determines the order of what you should do first, all the way down to 38 actions in your life. The number one thing you should do. And that's the only one that asks you to add up how many number ones on a page, number twos, what, and people freeze on that. They're like, fuck. And I'm like, it's so simple. But people are like, oh my God, this is so complicated. That is a critical point, but it's the only point that's not play and not engaging. So I'm very much into the point of the neuroscience behind the experience that we've got so that people feel they can be their true selves. Because what happens is that onion peels on the first day, people telling their stories. I ask people to go find that object where they want to be in the future every morning now. And it changes every single morning through the retreat as they gain the confidence to be truly who they are. And that's the play bit is absolutely critical. Because I want people through the neuroscience to feel like this is awesome. And why don't I take this awesomeness back into the world I'm in? It's totally in my control. So thank you for your story. And I look forward to chatting.
Yeah, thank you.
So have two. Yeah. So we're going to pass the mic over this way, which is where I wanted to go anyway. There are 2 points. Which points were they? Try to remember now. So one was I would love to hear from one of the people here tonight. I'm looking right at you. Sorry. Not sorry. If you'd like to share your experience of Elevation Barn. So if either anyone who's here who's been through the barn would love to share that experience, that's number one. And then number two, Jana, I would love you to say some words right now.
Oh, sorry, I've actually got to leave. This is where she corrects everything I've done. What he meant to say was...
Yes. So, my wife does the same thing to me. I love it. So, Jana, but I'm going to give you the luxury of time. Unless you have the mic in your hand right now. Okay, no, you don't. Okay,
she brought her own mic.
You got your own mic. So, yes, Shane, you have a question, my darling. Yeah.
Hi, Will.
Hello.
Thank you so much for everything you're sharing and
Very
openness. I'm the creator of Mindful Dating, Attract Love Without Losing Yourself. There are a couple of components that I love about what I do, which is the data collection, aggregation, business intelligence, segmenting the data, as well as the facilitation portion. And I want to piggyback off of what Carol said, which is your storytelling is amazing. I have heard 3 books, 2 of which I'm currently reading right now, Stories That Stick, and the Black Swan event that represented what you shared. I have a personal question for you. A lot of times as facilitators and teachers, we are expected to be very guarded. And what I've learned throughout this whole journey is that there's a space where when I'm collecting that data, it reminds me why I'm doing what I'm doing and why I should show up. And then when I facilitate those calls or coaching or sessions, I heal a little bit inside of me. So my question is, you've talked about a lot of stuff that you haven't done. How do you heal? What's the most impactful healing moment that you've experienced through your facilitation?
And just pass the mic to Jana after that, please. Thank you.
To answer it.
I gave you some time, brother. I'm not sure if you realize that. I gave you a little bit of
I know. I love that. I try and heal. What does heal me is love and friendship. I love a hug. And I love involuntary people just reaching out and saying, hey. So that's really important to me. And I can get the little 8-year-old, like I even had one with Dave. I'm like, Dave, you don't go cycling with me anymore. And he's like, dude, I thought you were busy. But that little boy needs support. I'm friends like Dave and Tracy and all the friends that have turned up. So the first thing I do is I really try and work out how I can get topped up by people. I realize now in my later time, like I used to be, done crazy bits and bobs, but now in the morning I meditate and I do sauna and ice bath. And what it does is we have this pendulum in life. And we're supposed to have a pendulum. Like a motorbike engine goes side to side. That keeps the motorbike upright, the pistons. We're supposed to be, a friend Dave Zabowski, who's the head of animation at Disney, and when they turn up at Disney, they say, how you feeling? And if you're feeling, yeah, awesome, they won't let you animate. And if on the other side you're feeling, oh my God, this happened, they crashed my car, and they won't let you animate. Because when the pendulum goes to the hot or to the cold, you're not who you are. You're not authentically you. And I've realized I'm very passionate and a hot-hearted creative. But I have to calm the pendulum. So what I'm going to be spending my time on, is authentic and will be actionable versus delusional. And excuse me, same with the cold. If I'm feeling super depressed, nothing spoils my day. Like Jean will say it, like when our 14-year-old leaves in the morning, doesn't say goodbye or I love you or don't kiss me, I've got gloss on. My day is fucked for the next few hours. Because I feel like, wow, I'm not worthy enough even for a hug or I love you or whatever it is. So I'm super sensitive. I'm like a nerve. And so for me, and the more work you do like this, I feel the more sensitive you get. It's like layers of skin. You keep tailing the layers off, and then you're like, yeah, but he said this, or they failed out, or maybe they were thinking that. It's like, what the fuck? When you were 21, you didn't care. Now I care about everything. Why is she looking at me? If somebody walked up here, I'm like, or left, I'd have been like, where are they going? I wouldn't think about the other 40 that are sitting here. I'd be like, what did I say? So for me, I think answering your question, I try and calm how I react and calm my day first. And I realize that I'm more sensitive and more in need of that hug to be able to get there. So that's where I'm. And now I'm like, this year is the year of collaboration and partnerships. I'm the worst coach. I can guide you, but I'm not going to sit with you for 6 months going, oh, sorry, and let me listen to you again. I'm like, dude, get up. Let's go. You've got the tools. When people come back and they do retreat, and they come back and they say, I'm not sure where I'm going, I say, did you read your North Star? Have you read your story? Do you know? Oh, no, I never looked at it. You have the work. When you've read it, call me back, and then I've got all the answers here. People often don't do the work, and even though they've done it, they don't look at it. And they just people need to look at the work. Not sure I was going with that, but sorry about that.
So thank you, brother. And great question as usual. So Shana, when it comes to you, my dear, I don't have a question. I just feel that you want to say something. So over to you.
I do not want to say anything. This is, what do I say? Gosh. The fact that he inspires me every day and every morning and every night is a huge thing for me. I look for inspiration in friends. I look for inspiration in my partner. And he inspires me tremendously. And it's all about growth, right? I mean, why are we all here? Transformation and growth. And I love growing with my husband because there
is one question, and when you respond, I'll ask you to move the mic a little bit closer to your mouth as well. So if there was one thing, the first thing maybe that comes into your mind that you've learned either at Elevation Barn or through being with this wonderful man, either or, whichever comes in, which you feel has been so insightful and so powerful that has really helped you to become the person that we see today, what would that thing be?
I would say his support, because without his support, I wouldn't be where I am today.
And how does that support show itself?
Gosh, this is going to sound like we're both very insecure. But I do have, I think everyone does, right? We all have our insecurities. And when I feel down, he lifts me up. And I would say that the inspiration and holding me up and I guess helping me through my insecurities by lifting me and elevating not just me but our kids, our whole family. If somebody is in a family not feeling good about themselves or is not sure where they're going, he'll sit down and gosh, how many times he sat down with all our kids and did the process, and they light up at the end of it. So yeah.
Thank you. I appreciate you sharing that. And thank you. Round of applause, everybody. She didn't know that was going to happen. Will's going to get it in the ear after when he gets home. Here's one of the things, right? And it's and I agree that everyone has something, right? One of the things that I think first presents with you, Will, is that when you look at you, you're a tall, big fella, right? You're from Burnley, the north of England. Hard people are in the north of England. In the south, a bit softer, let's be honest, right? Generalization there, right? So sitting down with you tonight and getting a real understanding of the sensitivity of you, the beauty, the brilliance, the introverted nature, the forced leadership that then became a superpower, right? I look at the fact that, you mentioned, I'm doing the barn for others, but they're really doing it for me, right? So there's this gotong royong, right? The community coming together to solve a challenge faced by the community. So when you're in need of lifting, how does your wife contribute to you? Now, the reason why I ask this is because, I think a lot of people came tonight thinking that they were going to get a branding conversation, thinking that they were going to get a very different conversation to the one that we've had. And I don't plan it, as you know. I let the energy take me. I'm very comfortable with that. But what you've given us tonight is a really interesting, deep understanding of kind of this humanity that we all share. So by asking this question, it's again another opportunity that I see that you support other people by just your honesty, right? And I think it's a beautiful thing. So how does your wife support you in the moments that you need it?
One, I feel like we should have our own room here and we should just go off here. But no, for me, she is... What's happened over time is I've learned to appreciate how different we are, and her understanding, she channels and helps people and heals people through her skills that I could not do, and I really appreciate that. And I think where the relationship works, and it hits the edges, as every relationship does, is that I understand that she is a different person. So when I first worked out in relationship, I was told that you're like two circles that overlap. And it's the overlapping which is the commonality in what you should do, and you should stay overlapped. But that often ends with resentment that you're actually taking part of who you are away, versus two circles next to each other. And we do that. She gives me the freedom to go with Dave and friends diving or mountain biking. She knows I'm a better person if I come back recalibrated as a little boy. Yeah. And the alignment of that is really important for both of us. Relationships are not perfect, but when I'm in those points of like, fuck, is it right, is it wrong, which is, everybody talks about things like this all the time. I look about, all right, what percentage of my time is actually with Jana? And it's probably 5% of my day, reality wise. And so we take time just to sit next to each other, or to, we're not, let's do tantric sessions up in Ubud. We're not doing that sort of stuff. We're just like, how do we be in our presence and help each other when we're going? And it's interesting, she says, I inspire as I go along. I feel I'm fucking it up more every day. Yet she's saying I'm helping more. So I think there's that humbleness. Just for those that are in the branding world or want to know about branding, this is a pure branding thing. Jana is her own brand. And I am my own brand. Where you screw up is when Nike tries to be Adidas or Adidas tries to be Nike. Yeah. You have to appreciate that you come from a totally different journey. What's needed, and in the branding world, if I'm leading a brand, I tell them you have to have freedom within the framework. When I was leading Coca-Cola globally, it was, how can you be Coca-Cola, open happiness, all this stuff, but how do you give your regions the freedom to translate that into the relevant culture, to be authentic for that market, not America here in Bali. And it's the same with a relationship. I have to have freedom within a framework with Jana. She likes going and doing things that I feel so awkward. And it kills me on the inside, but I'm like, I know this is going to be really important to her. Or I feel so awkward, do you mind if I don't, but you go. And I'm still the little boy. It's 10 o'clock, why are you not home? Or who are you talking to? And that's because I care. But I think you should do that with all the friends. If you care and give them freedom to the framework and you give them the support, then you're just awake. And I think we're in a world now where we need to be awake and we need to be celebrating human kindness and being authentic to who you are, because you know what? Everybody around you knows who you are. You pretend to be somebody different. Just put the sword down and just celebrate how awesome you are, because the real people that are important in your life they'll emerge and support you. That's like with our consultancy stable that Friska's leading and we're driving. That is basically the 600 alumni who unite together with their 180 industries of different skills to help philanthropic things like Mission Blue, Great Spine of Africa, World Enable, or FIFA or BlackRock or whatever who's trying to transition. But there's one commonality, is there is no arseholes working together. You all trust each other, you enjoy each other, and you work in a kindred quest. And that's what I think you should be doing in the world, is enjoying and celebrating good people.
You know, that's the third time you've done this to me tonight, Will. I was about to ask you about stable. You went, I love it. Listen, I thoroughly enjoyed tonight. It's going to be one that all these shows are recorded. The last 331 now have been recorded there on the YouTube, which is SpeakuP Monday. This is being streamed live on Instagram, where there's probably the most engagement, Facebook and YouTube live, so you can tune in any week. Here is a QR code to join the group. 10 different market sectors, leaders of, we've had, like the co-founder of Gojek on the show, the largest companies, the Indonesian, you name it, from politics to agriculture, and I thoroughly love it because it's an opportunity. People inspire people. You inspire me, Brother Will. Unity and diversity. I look at the audience, all I see is Bhinneka Tunggal Ika, right? Unity and diversity. Entrepreneurship and social impact, which is the excuse to bring people around a table who would have we got one more question?
I can't wait for the answer. It's fine.
It's just okay. All right.
Yeah, it's fine. All right. I can't wait afterwards.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, it's fine. All right. I can't wait afterwards. So you get
afterwards. Okay.
I don't mind.
Yeah. Thank you.
So you get
afterwards. Okay.
I don't mind.
Yeah. Thank you. Appreciate that, brother. Maybe even.
And I really look forward to that, which is the only. If you do need support, come. Invest in yourself. Take that space and put the wings on your back, and then make sure you follow through and lean on everybody else, because you have a short time on this earth. And for me, Elevation Barn is, I have a grand ambition. If as a collective, if we do the right thing, we'll get a Nobel Peace Prize. That's my grand ambition. If I help a leader transform and elevate themselves to be a better, kinder, nicer leader, as well as influencer in their worlds, then united we will help millions be better, more authentic, more grounded. And I think it's the biggest. We are in a confidence crisis, and it's, if you have to step up, not to be radical, but step up the little boy or girl inside to be authentically you, because you're beautiful. Lean on people to help and just enjoy this opportunity. And thank you again for coming out tonight. I so appreciate it. And please, if I haven't had a chance to answer a question, reach out. I think everyone knows my wife now, where I live, my challenges, there's nothing hidden. But let's keep it going and enjoy that conversation. So thank you.
The last bit there is where we really connect. We're going to go deeper in that. Everybody, round of applause. Will Travis, Elevation Barn. Yes. All right. Thank you.